Hey, it's Brad. It's day 9 of our 30-day summer habitat marathon. I've got the tractor on the trailer. We're heading out to the hunting property, and it's a great day. So yesterday I talked briefly about owning equipment when you have property. And unless you're living on the property you're hunting on, you're going to need to transport your equipment out to that property. So if you own, for instance, a tractor, you need a trailer in order to transport it out to that property. So my hunting property is about 30 minutes away from our home. So clearly I need a trailer in order to make my tractor useful for me out at the property. I'm really thankful to have it. However, I don't look forward to the production that needs to take place in order to get the tractor out to the property. It seems like it just takes forever. And unless I'm spending an entire day out at the property, it sometimes feels like that's all I do is load it up and potentially load it back up again. We have some family that are stopping through on their way back home and looking forward to spending some time with them. But that means I can't spend a ton of time out at the property today, and we'll see how long it takes for us to get up and rolling, or if we even can. I honestly haven't even checked to see what the ground is like. We've had several days of drier weather, so I either at a minimum will be dropping the tractor off so we'll be able to use it later in the week, or if we have enough time and everything goes well, we may actually be able to do some brush hogging today. But either way, it is a beautiful day. Looking forward to getting the tractor rolling here, and we'll check in a little bit once we have the tractor off the trailer. And again, it's going to be a great day. All right, so we're on the tractor, we're on the path, and I am cautiously optimistic with the amount of dryness we have. Don't really see any mud on the tires so far, but the reality is we are in an area where we get more sun. When we get to the deeper woods, that's where I've traditionally had the most problems because you don't get as much sun, so therefore not as much drying, and the tractor is much heavier than the Kubota UTV. And that's where we have had ruts before, and the ruts that we create end up collecting water later and just compounds the problem. So that's why I've been reluctant to bring this out here for the last, I don't know, week and a half, 2 weeks, because we do not want to be in a place where we're creating more issues. The long-term solution, as I mentioned on several episodes ago, is to get some gravel out here. We're going to try to put down some mulch that we're going to be making here in the next couple days to week, and that'll help temporarily, but long-term issue is going to be resolved by that gravel. But let's get going, shall we? So we've accomplished goal number 1, and that's getting the tractor out here. If the best thing we can do is set it here and have it waiting for us when we come back next time, that's great. We're going to see how far we get. The goal is to get across the creek, which is where we need to get to. We're going to drop the chipper and drop off my loader bucket so that I can attach the brush cutter on the back. That's the first thing we need to do. We've been needing to cut the grass and weeds out here for probably 3 weeks, and I'm a little bit concerned about how high they really are, but today's the day that at a very minimum we have this out here, and it's going to keep getting drier the longer we go into the week, so that's a positive. I'm looking at my tires right now and not seeing any mud whatsoever, so that's great. We're coming up here on the brush hog that I leave here at the property during the spring, summer, and early fall. We're gonna come back here and grab it, but we need to get the rest of this stuff across the creek so we can drop it off and exchange it. Boy, I got some limbs to cut here. It's been a while since I've had the tractor going this way, so we're gonna have to come out here and do some maintenance here. All right, let's see. All right, this is test number 1. We got a small ditch we gotta get across. I may end up putting a low water crossing in here someday, but not this year. It's pretty steep, and it's usually not a problem when I don't have any equipment on the back, but yeah, seem to make it okay here. Still no mud on the tires, so that's awesome. All right, test number 1. Now we're gonna go on the pathway here where we are most likely to have the wettest ground. So step number 2, eventually I'm coming in here and I need to widen this path a little bit. The one benefit we did have when we purchased this property was that there were row planted trees for I think about 8 or 9 acres and it was a perfect width for a lot of our equipment, so I didn't have to do a lot other than trim up some of the dead branches, which still honestly took a while. But our next step is we're going to have to take out the next row of trees, because eventually as these grow, it's going to get more and more constricting. Again, probably not something we're going to do this year. It'll be a great winter project when all the leaves are off the trees. All right, so while we're driving, again, pretty pleased so far, no mud on the tires. But while we're driving, I wanted to talk a little bit about my tractor. I'm going to go into depth about the tractor at some point when I do the episode we were talking about doing renting or buying equipment. That's going to be a really good one. I can't wait to do it. But in the meantime, I want to talk a little bit about this tractor. I bought this tractor in 2021. And if you remember what was going on about that time, we were still dealing with the COVID pandemic. Not going to get political here, but what a tragedy all around. The supply chain was absolutely devastated around the globe, and it was very difficult to get pretty much anything. The reason I say that is because I was doing a lot of research, which I advise you to do when you are looking at any equipment. But my research led me down the path to two different options, which were going to be Kubota and John Deere. And both of them during that time frame were not available. I couldn't order them. They had no time frame. And not long after we bought this property, we moved to a new home with a much longer driveway than I was used to, and I did not, nor could I, use a snowblower to clear it. So I needed something to take care of the snowfall when it does occur. And I thought the bucket for a tractor would be great to do that. So after looking around, I found that there was a Kioti dealership not far from us. Did some research on Kioti. I wasn't as familiar with it. It is a South Korean company, but it had wonderful reviews. I believe they are headquartered in the United States, I believe in North Carolina. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it here on the screen, but a lot of good reviews from Kioti owners. And when you compare it to similar tractors like I was with the John Deere and the Kubota, it was actually hands down more powerful, more hydraulic power, more PTO power, and definitely cheaper. Now, I'm not a big fan of cheaper is better. You get what you pay for sometimes, and Kubota and John Deere are definitely the top two players in the compact tractor market, which is why I was going in that direction. But honestly, I was pretty impressed with Kioti. And I started looking and really got excited about the opportunity. They had some available, a little bit larger than what I was actually initially planning on, but it wasn't a bad decision to get a little bit bigger tractor. As long as it could get to and from where I needed to get to, it would be perfect. So I happened to be looking on the lot when my youngest brother was visiting. He's the one that does the fireworks with me. If you haven't seen that video, I know it's past the 4th of July, but it is absolutely bananas. The fireworks show that took place in a residential backyard. But anyway, he was in town and with me when I was kind of taking a look before I made a decision. And he has a pond business in the summer and has his equipment as well. And when I was looking, initially I was looking both John Deere and Kubota at an open cab just because they're cheaper. And the Kioti that I was considering came in two versions, with the open cab or open or enclosed cab. And my brother talked me into springing for the enclosed cab with the heating and air conditioning, and he was absolutely right. I ended up going with the Kioti with the enclosed cab. It's a DK 4210 if you're interested in what I have. You've probably seen some of the pictures, but overall I can tell you I do not regret that decision one bit. This tractor has been phenomenal for the most part. I'll talk about that in another episode or just briefly, but it's been great. I've been very, very happy with it. There's been one major drawback, and I'm not going to get into that right now because we have work to do. I'll talk about that in our buy or rent. I'm obviously driving it today, and it's been great. All right, we're going to switch gears here because we're getting to a point in the property that was one of my favorite, and we're going to cross the creek here. And it doesn't matter how many times I do this with my tractor, I absolutely love it, because this project was the most challenging one thus far on the property, and this allows me to get across the creek with any of my equipment. And if you have not seen either of my episodes where I build the low water crossing or I am repairing it that I just put out recently, I put links below. You got to check this out. But this low water crossing is a game changer. Allows me to do this today, and anytime I want to come over. This is where we have our 2.5 acres of food plot, is the main anchor for the deer movement on our property here in the fall. Absolutely critical. I could not do what I'm doing today or at all if I did not have this low water crossing, and I just love it. Just makes me so happy every time I do that. So I think this is where I'm going to end up dropping my stuff here. Wow, this is high. This is crazy. All right, I'll get to that in a minute. We're gonna start our brush hogging here in a minute after we drop this off. I think we have some time. Yeah, we do. We have some time, so let's drop this off. We'll get everything disconnected, and yeah, I'll be back. Well, we're ready to mow. We have about maybe 45 minutes before we need to head out of here. Just like at the home property, this weeds, grass, whatever we're mowing out here, it is full of moisture, so hopefully we can make this happen. If it's too wet, we might quit, but I don't want to quit. All right, let's do this. Well, I had to take a quick break from mowing because I wanted to check out our fields here. I cannot believe how much everything looks so different. All of the buckwheat is pretty much not only laying down, but is super brown. And in addition to that, look, we got some growth already. This is absolutely awesome. Well, I thought I was about to die when we were in that heat advisory. When we were spreading that seed, it's totally worth it. Everything's coming up just like we hoped. All right, now back to mowing. Well, we've run out of time for today, but we sure got a lot done today, and actually more than I even had hoped for, so that's awesome. We were able to get the tractor not only over here to the other side of the creek, but we actually got some mowing done, and we're able to check out the food plots. By the way, real quick about the food plots, I cannot believe that they are in as good a shape as they are already. And the great news is it is only the 2nd of August, so if we do have any issues, I have some seed left. We can overseed later, so that's great. All right, so that means that since the tractor's here already, we are gonna have no problem whenever we're able to come out next and really hit this hard, finish up our mowing, and then move on to taking care of some of the trees that we need to take care of as well. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. I may not be out tomorrow because of some commitments I have to take care of, but regardless of when I actually come back out here, I can't wait for you to once again watch Brad work.